Hello friends, as you all know, I am covering your Unit 3 of Pharmaceutical Jurisprudence, that is BP 505T. In Juris, the second topic that I will be taking is the Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act 1955. Myself, Dr. Vasundhara Saxena, I will be taking this topic in detail in 5 parts. So, this is the first part, and in this part I would be covering the introduction, definitions, objectives, licensing, excise and excise officer, manufacture of alcoholic preparation in bond, manufacture of alcoholic preparation outside bond, Ayurvedic and homeopathic preparations, and the offences and penalties with respect to them. So, the entire content of the topic will be in these heads, and these heads have been divided into 5 parts. So, let us see the highlight of this content. In this part, I would be covering your introduction part, objectives of the Act, that is Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act 1955, some of the important words that includes definitions of those words which will be used in this Act again and again, and then the licensing procedure that you will be using for going through these preparations, for the preparations of toiletry preparations as well as those which contain alcoholic content. So, let us start with introduction. Alcohol, as we all know, is fascinating friend of mankind. Drinking alcohol for pleasure sake is an abuse. That is, if we take alcohol for merely enjoying purpose, it is good, but on the other hand, it is also used in medicines, and the use of alcohol for preparations of medicines is necessity of today's life. So, alcohol used either for drinking or for manufacture of perfumes is subjected to higher duties, that is the use in medicinal preparation. So, here one point is there that if we are using alcohol for medicinal purpose, then the tax, or you can say the duties, will be less as comparing to the drinking purpose alcohol. The Excise Duties Act came in force in 1955 to control the affordability of alcohol. So, this is the main point, that in 1955, after certain drawbacks, this act came into force to control the affordability, availability of alcohol throughout the India. An act to provide for the levy and collection of duties of excise on medicinal and toilet preparations containing alcohol, opium, Indian hemp or other narcotic drugs or narcotics. Here you can see we have included another words like Indian hemp, opium or narcotic drugs. As we all know that these are some kind of drugs which comes under levy. And what is levy? It is also a new word for you all. It is the tax that we collect. It is the duties that you have to pay while you are doing the business over it. So, if you want to do business with alcoholic preparations or alcohol, then a large or heavy amount of excise duty you have to pay for it. But if we are doing the business in medicinal terminology for preparing the medicine, then the levy or the excise duty as comparative to the normal drinking alcohol is less. So, to make it affordable, to make it available to the general people, to the people of the India, and to regulate these functions properly, to control all the kind of mischiefs behind the alcoholic marketing is being controlled by Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act 1955. Alcohol is an important industrial solvent. As you all know, it is an industrial solvent. Industrial solvent means the solvent or the liquid that is used for dissolving many kinds of medicinal substances. It is the universal solvent that many kind of medicine or these API, that is active pharmacological ingredients, are soluble in alcohol. Therefore, it is termed as universal solvent. Industrial solvent, it is used in industries in large amount, as well as it has a preservative property and a therapeutic agent also. So, we can see the use of alcohol is multiple. It is an industrial solvent as well as it acts as a preservative, excellent preservative. It has the property of excellent preservatives. It has a therapeutic effect also. It is, however, likely to be misused. That is how the misuse of alcohol is controlled under this act. And it could be a drug of addiction also, that is euphoric drink. Drink of addiction, as we all know that many people who are used to drink alcohol get daily habits of drinking. So, that is called addiction. If you have the property of taking that drug daily, on daily basis, then it calls addiction, that you cannot live without it, you cannot spend a moment without it, that is craving for that substance, that is called addiction. So, if some person is consuming alcohol on a daily basis, then it causes addiction. So, when we can say it has a positive point also, it is also having a negative point also. But we have, as a person, we should always take the positive from the substance. So, to control those negative points, the Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act 1955 came into force. Let us see the next point. In the absence of uniform excise policy, this is the main aim of Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act. Uniform excise policy. Uniform means everything should be in uniformity. If we are having an excise custom or excise of about 100 rupees in Jammu and Kashmir, then it should also be 100 rupees in the other state. So, to maintain this uniformity, the Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act came into force in 1955. So, in the absence of uniform excise policy, the price structure of alcohol containing medicine was varying from state to state within the country. As I have already told you, it is varying. It is changing from one state to the other. So, to have the uniformity over it, we have brought this act into force. That is, from state to state, now we will have a uniform excise policy in all the states. So, as we can see so many drawbacks with it, therefore, the importance of this act can be seen. So, coming to the next point, we have, in order to overcome this difficulty, that is the difficulty of uniform excise policy. To overcome this difficulty and to ensure that the uniform structure of excise duty for alcohol products exists, this act was enacted. It is an act with provision for levy and collection of excise duties on medicinal and toilet preparations containing alcohol, opium, Indian hemp or other narcotic drugs. As you can see, these words are again being repeated, that is opium, Indian hemp or other narcotic drugs, because these are also covered under excise duties or custom duties. Whether we are talking about alcohol or these drugs, in detail we will study in the next coming up topic, that is narcotic drugs. So, if we are dealing in these, then we have to pay the excise duty and which has to be a uniform part. The Act is effectively implemented throughout India from 15th April 1957. So, according to your knowledge, let us see. We talk about 1955, that is, the Act was brought forward, but when it was implemented, the word is implemented throughout India from 15th April 1957. The two dates are entirely different. 1955 is the time when the Act or the idea of controlling this to bring this uniformity was brought forward, and it was around 2 years till then when it came into action. So, you have to remember these 2 years perfectly, that in 1955 the idea was brought forward, but in 1957 it was implemented throughout the India. The date was 15th April. So, now as we have seen the introduction of the Act, you can clearly see the drawbacks that we have to work on. So, the objective of the following Act was to cover up those drawbacks. So, let us see one by one what and how we have done. The medicinal and toiletry preparation, or we can also see the second term, that is Excise Duties Act. If you will find this term, that is Excise Duty Act, it also means the Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act. So, you must not be confused with the two words those are used. Those are same word for the same terminology for the Act. You can also call it Excise Duties Act, or you can also term it as Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act. The Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act was passed in 1955. It was passed, but it was not enacted or implemented. So, you should be clear with the two dates. It was passed in 1955 with the following objectives. And what were they? First one, to provide for the collection of levy and duties of excise on medicinal and toiletry preparation containing alcohol, narcotic drugs or narcotics. So, the first and the foremost important point or the objective of the Act was the collection of levy. Levy is the new word, as I have already told you what is levy. It is the literal meaning of being collecting the tax, collection of tax. So, the main objective was the collection of levy and duties of excise of those narcotic products and alcoholic preparations. Coming up to the second point, we have to provide for the uniformity in the rules and the rates of excise duties liable on such preparations throughout the country. Now, we come to the second important point, that is uniformity. Uniformity of the rates that we are using for the collection of levy. As we have seen, I have already given you the example that the rate of levy should be constant in different states in India. So, the second point can be to provide for uniformity in the rules and rates of excise duties liable on such preparations throughout the country. Now, coming to the next slide, we have to provide the misuse of alcohol, its issue, transport and use should be controlled. The way the things were misused, that is black marketing of alcohol, should be controlled. Misuse of alcohol should be controlled, while transportation of alcohol, because these all black marketing things are planned while the things are being transported. So, proper control should be maintained while the alcohol is being transported. So, the third point was to provide the misuse of alcohol, its issue, transport and use should be controlled. The way we are using the alcohol, the transportation of alcohol and the misuse of alcohol, we should be working simultaneously on these three aspects to control over the black marketing, or you can say the misuse of alcohol. Now, coming to the fourth point, we have to provide for exhaustive rules and provisions which are provided to cover all types of preparation containing alcohol, including homeopathic preparations. As if you all know that while talking about pharmacy, that homeopathic, allopathic as well as Ayurvedic preparations, all these three preparations, or you can say the formulations that we use while curing a human body, contains major amount of alcohol. Many drugs are directly formulated using alcohol. So, exhaustive rules should be made to control the misuse of alcohol while working on these preparations. These kinds of sectors should be controlled differently, like allopathic preparation as well as Ayurvedic preparations and homeopathic preparations also. The last but not the least, the levy and the collection of duties is the main aim of this act, which will financially support the government, because these collection of levies as well as custom duties help the government to maintain the economy. And last, to curb all irregularities of previous act. That is, the things which were controlled previously were having some kind of drawback, and so to control over these and to curb all irregularities. The curb word means to finish all these irregularities of the previous act. The act was enforced or implemented in 1957. So, the two main points that you should be knowing, that is, the act was brought forward in 1955, but it was implemented in 1957 on 15th April. So, these were the objectives. Now, let us go through the definition portion, that is the important point, some of the important words that you should be thorough with it. So, the main point was, the first one is dutiable goods. Dutiable goods, as you can see the word dutiable. If we break the word into two, that is dutiable. Duty you have already seen. What is duty? That is the levy or the excise we collect over it. So, dutiable goods, the goods on which we have to collect the duties, or you can say the tax, or you can say the levy. So, let us see the point in detail. Dutiable goods, it includes the medical and the toilet preparations specified in the schedule as being subject to the duties of the excise levied under this act. So, all those preparations which contain alcohol, which are made up of alcohol, like homeopathic preparation, or you can say Ayurvedic preparation, or allopathic syrups and formulations of medicines that we use, should be dutiable, should come under dutiable goods. That is, the duty has to be collected over those products. So, coming to the second point, medicinal preparations, and being a pharmacy graduates, you should be very thorough with this word, and I suppose you are clear with this word, that is medicinal preparations. Let us see the point. It includes the drugs used as remedy or prescription prepared for internal or external use of human being or animal, and all substances intended to be used for or in treatment, mitigation or prevention of diseases in human beings or animals. So, in short, the substances which are helpful in improving the health of a living being are termed as medicinal preparations. Those things which are used to improve the health of a human being or an animal, or you can literally say a living organisms, are termed as medicinal preparation, because they are remedies or the prescription prepared, that is, the doctors which write the prescriptions, the detailed regime that you have to follow, then those can be also termed as medicinal preparations. Now coming to the next word, that is alcohol. As we all are dealing with alcoholic preparations, then you should be clear what is alcohol. Alcohol means ethyl alcohol, that is C2H5OH. If we talk about organic chemistry of ethyl alcohol, then the formula is C2H5OH. Alcohol means ethyl alcohol of any strength and purity. You all know what is the strength? That is 60%, or you can say 90% strength that we use to calculate the formulas. You have already learned in your GB part, that is what is the strength. So if we are talking about alcohol that is being consumed in Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act, then it is 90% strength almost, or it can vary according to the medicinal preparations we are preparing. So we have covered this topic, that is alcohol. Alcohol means ethyl alcohol of any strength and purity having chemical composition C2H5OH. Now coming to the main important part of this act, that is bonded manufactory. Bonded manufactory, bonded, it is bond. You have used this word, that is bonded, something like it is regulated by the other person. Then let us see the definition first, then I will explain it in detail. It means the premises, that is the area, premises, that is the area or any part of the premises approved and licensed for the manufacture and storage of medicinal and toilet preparations containing alcohol, opium, Indian hemp and other narcotic drugs or narcotics on which duty has not been paid. So the important point is the duty has not been paid, but the premises, that area is authorized, is approved by the government. So bonded manufactory, or you can say the factory. Here you can see the word, that is factory. It is the area in which the preparation are being done. But the point to remember is that the duty has not been paid on the alcohol that we are consuming. So the duty are not being paid on the alcohol that you are consuming, but the factory or the area is approved, authorized by the government. So these are the two next words. Now coming to the another word, that is non-bonded manufactory, that is the complementary of bonded manufactory. We have all seen now, just now seen that bonded manufactory. Now the complement of that is non-bonded manufactory. Non-bonded manufactory क्या होता है? It means the premises or any area or part of the premises approved and licensed for the manufacture, storage of medicinal and toilet preparations and storage of medicinal and toilet preparations containing alcohol, opium, Indian hemp and other narcotic drugs or narcotics on which duty has been paid. So we can see the difference, that is duty has been paid. This is the major difference between the two. The area is also permitted as well as the duty has also been paid. So the two words are complementary, that is bonded manufactory and non-bonded manufactory. Both words goes hand into hand, that is in bonded manufactory duty has not been paid as well as in non-bonded manufactory duty has been paid. But in both the concept the areas are being approved and registered by the government. Now coming to the next important part, that is licensing. Manufacturing of alcoholic and narcotic preparations can only be undertaken under the authority of license granted for the purpose, and such a license is issued only if the requisite license for manufacture of drugs under Drugs and Cosmetic Act and rules has first been observed or obtained. That is, if you are planning to do a business in alcoholic or medicinal preparation containing alcohol, then the first and the foremost thing that you have to go through is having the approval from DNC Act and rules to start that business of preparing of medicinal preparation containing alcohol. applications for the license for its renewal is to be made to licensing authority, who is the Excise Commission in the case of bonded manufactory or warehouse, and in the other cases such officer as the government may authorize in this behalf. So, it is the excise officer, or you can say the Excise Commission, who will be controlling the working in this area. So, if we talk about the person who will be acting or will be acting this act thoroughly is the Excise Commission, or you can say the excise officer. So, after taking the permission from DNC Act and rules, then you have to go with the excise officer, you have to go in hand to hand with that person while doing the business or while manufacturing alcoholic products or medicinal preparation containing alcohol. The applicant for the license should submit the prescribed form accompanied with the prescribed fee at the least 2 months from the proposed date of commencement of the manufacture. That is, if you want to start your business from, you can say for example March, then you have to get the approval by till January. So, when 2 months before you should be having an approval letter from Excise Commission and DNC Act that you are going to start your business in medicinal and toiletry preparations. The name and address of the applicant and the place and the site on which the manufactory is situated is to be constructed. If the applicant be a firm, the name and address of every partner of that firm should be included. So, these are few of the norms that you have to follow while starting your business in medicinal and toiletry preparations, that you should get approval of everything, that is the premises, the person, the heads and the owners, while 2 months before the commencement of the industry. The amount of the capital proposed to be invested in the venture, the approximately date from which the applicant desires to start his business, or you can say the commence of the manufactory, the statement whether the bonded laboratory will require the service of the whole time or a time excise officer, and whether the quarters of the excise staff will be provided within the manufactory or its vicinity. That is, you have to specify the role of excise commissioner, whether it is full time or it is a part time, because the opening and the closing of the industry is controlled by excise commission only. That in front of that person only you can start your preparations, and in front of that person only you have to close that industry, that the manufacturing has been completed. So, you have to specify the use of excise person in detail in your form. The number and the full description of vats, stills and other permanent apparatus and the machine which the applicant wishes to get up together with the maximum quantity of alcohol content in the finished preparation and the maximum quantity by weight of opium or Indian hemp or other narcotic drugs or narcotics and their contents in the finished and unfinished preparations. That is, the detail, a very minute detail should also be explained in the license. The site and the elevation plans of the manufactory, building and also similar plans for the quantity of the excise officer together with relevant records should be maintained. That is, everything, every minute transactions have to be recorded on papers and it should be maintained while inspections are being carried out. The amount in cash or the government promissory note which the applicant is prepared furnish for the due performance of the conditions on which the license may be granted. So, the kind and the number of each license under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act held by the applicant. So, these are few of the norms that you have to follow while writing or while starting the business at the time of starting your preparations in medicinal and toiletry preparations. A list of all preparations which the applicant possesses to the manufacturer and the those manufactured during the preceding years containing alcohol should also be mentioned. The percentage or the proportion of alcohol and alcohol preparations or opium, Indian hemp, all should be mentioned. Thank you guys. This was a brief over the introduction, objectives and definitions of the Act. I will be soon coming up in the next part in detail on few more topics. Thank you.